All right, good afternoon. How's everyone doing? Here we go. That's a good way to start. So my name is Brendan Grady. I'm the General Manager of AI and Analytics at Qlik. I am joined today by one of our amazing customers, Juan, who will come up and talk about his use case. So I was reading the topic on the way down here, and I got to tell you, that's a pretty scary topic for a 4:30 session, right? I mean, I hesitate in your history, but the reality is that if we are hesitating right now with all of the changes that are going on, we are going to be history. We will be left behind. So I want to just do a quick show of hands in the audience. Who here has more of a technical role? People that are building application developers, right? More business people? Wow, we're split 50-50. That's pretty good. So I'll try to tailor the presentation for both audiences. So for those of you that are in the building world, there's a reality of what you're doing in supporting your businesses and your organizations. And ultimately, your businesses and your organizations, they're all driven by some type of decision, right? And that decision can be super tactical about, which shirt do I wear today, for example, or which sweater do I wear today, or maybe even which shoes. Or it can be super strategic. Do I buy all of my clothing, for example, from Neiman Marcus, right? You can get really big. So all of those decisions are critical to the way your organizations perform. And if you are not basing this on all of your data and using the right techniques, there is a cost of not knowing. And I always like to challenge my audience when I present on this to do a couple things when you leave. Go Google AI failures. Some of them are really funny. Some of them are pretty scary. That's one thing to do. And then also I give a recommendation to go look at social media fails. That's the cost of not knowing. And there are ways that you can get around this, right? There are ways that you can address this. And so for those of you that may or may not be familiar with Qlik, I wanted to just share briefly about what we do and why it's important to help you address the cost of not knowing. So in a world where I don't think anybody in the room would say, we don't have enough data, right? Does anybody really feel we don't have enough data? Everyone's struggling with that. Yeah, good. You have got to be able to get access to all of your data regardless of where it is. You need to be able to extract it. You need to be able to move it around. You need to be able to make it ready and transform it in ways that people can understand and use. And I say people, but the reality is moving forward in the agentic world, those people may not actually be people. They may be actually other agents. So what that means is you have to be able to trust that data. Beyond just trusting that data and getting it ready, you need to be able to provide it to people or agents that may want to consume this information and have trusted data products. And then in the world that we're living in, where analyzing all of your data helps you uncover hidden patterns and make decisions off of that about, for example, what color jeans do I want to wear? I could even use it for that. But making decisions around where do I allocate resources? How much is my forecasting looking like? You need to be able to bring all of that data in and analyze it. But the really interesting thing is you want to make decisions off of that data. And right, those decisions can be extremely strategic, but they can also be really tactical. And ultimately, you want to act and do something on it. Anybody seen here a nice, really pretty visualization and just say, wow, that's really pretty? But if you don't do anything with that data, and Juan, you'll talk about this when you come up, that's absolutely critical. So this is what we do fundamentally. And there are three things that we really do well, three things we really do. Trusted data products. We can get all of your data, regardless of where it sits, and make it available to an agent or person, regardless, and it's trusted. So you know that whatever decisions are being made, you can have confidence, and we can prove that. The second thing we do is we actually find patterns in that data that you will not find with a pure visualization vendor. It is impossible to do. We have technology that allows you to do that. And the third thing that we do uniquely is how you act on that. When you combine trusted data products with the ability to combine this, you can act on it with more confidence. We're starting to see in the world that we grew up in, for those of you, anybody have BI experience or reporting experience in the room? Yeah, right? Our world is getting rocked here, isn't it? It is not 2002 where someone wants a pixel perfect report. What we're hearing from our customers is we're hearing that they expect their analytics to become more of an agentic intelligence layer. that they built all of this IP, and now they want to be able to take advantage of it in an agentic way. And if any of you are Qlik customers, please come by our booth and we'll help show you and understand how you can do that. The second thing we're seeing in the agentic world is data infrastructure. The data you need to run an agentic framework, the data you need to make decisions in an agentic framework, it is growing at rates that I don't think any of us expected, even in the back in the big data days, right? It is growing way faster than any of us would have expected. It needs to be available, it needs to be fast, it needs to be performant, and it can't bankrupt you. So we're starting to see customers that are really struggling with that. And then finally, we've been talking in the BI space, in the analytics space for 20, 25 years. It is about what you do with it. We are starting to see more and more automation. That's not a request anymore. That's in fact a requirement for any of us that are in this space. But the challenges remain. The challenges remain. Trusted data. I never thought I'd be standing here in 2025 and saying data quality initiatives are important and are really exciting again. Customers are struggling with that. The cost, I talked about having the data available where you want. Adaptability and being able to do it in a cost-effective manner remains to be a challenge for our customers. And then finally, the ability to have all of that information whenever you need it, rely on it so you can act on it, and automate a lot of those decisions. Customers are still struggling with all three of these things. And not just our customers, everybody out there that we speak to is doing that. I have good news. I have a customer who's addressed a lot of these challenges. And the story that you'll hear from Ingersoll Rand here in just a moment will be talking about many of these things that we just talk about it in a way that is not a vendor telling you how it's going to work, but the real world example. And I think the thing that I'm hoping you'll walk away from this session today is, after listening to Juan talk, that if you've invested in this analytics infrastructure, this data and analytics infrastructure, that there is a way forward for you in this new world. So I'd love to welcome Juan to the stage from Ingersoll Rand. Please give him a round of applause.
Thank you, Brandon. All right, so for everyone, I would like to make this real. I want to mention that for many, many years, I've been sitting there, and many of the ideas that I consider we have been successful with have not been our ideas. It's people like, that have been here, I've been hearing, inspiring, and I will consider myself like successful if some of you may say, I'm taking home something from this presentation. So let's start with something, right? Ingersoll Rand is a manufacturing conglomerate, multinational, very complex, right? And if you think about, like, Ingersoll Rand is more than 90 brands. Now, I don't expect you to know even one single of these brands, but what I like about this slide is that it is not a corporate slide. It is an IT slide, and you'll see why. This is an IT slide because if you probably extend this to your reality, you'll see behind these dozens of ERPs, perhaps like 5, 6, 7 CRMs, supply chain complexities for every single brand, decades and decades of legacy systems. It's all that make us analytic professionals, managers, developers, our life difficult, right? Is how do we make enterprise-grade, enterprise-wide AI if we have to deal with that complexity? And data is messy, and systems are legacy, and it's difficult to connect. Look, we have more than 50 ERPs in our company, just to tell you that, right? So when we have to deal with something of like that size and complexity in manufacturing, right? Manufacturing data, historically, manufacturing companies are very data rich, but insight poor, and that hurts, right? And we have to deal with all this complexity. So when we started to see all these like AI explosion, we ask ourselves, how can we attack the AI problem in our manufacturing reality, right? Lean teams, small teams of data engineers, of enterprise-wide like analytics. How can we make AI that can compete with, like big muscle, high technology companies? And so the first thing we did was like, all right, let's divide the AI problem. On one side of the spectrum, right? I think you're the left side on the screen for you. We said we have workplace AI, personal use AI, right? Someone needs to push a literacy and culture program that can reach 15,000 knowledge workers. This is your typical Microsoft Copilot. These are the small use cases where people start to get a brain muscle on prompting, on starting to trust AI, right? And we started there. And then some ambitions, right? Let's build some transformational AI projects. And we go to the other side of the spectrum, enterprise custom AI. And that's where my team said, hey, no one in the company will be able to create these like complex data pipelines, structured data, unstructured data, RAG, vectorization. Let's transform one or two or three aspects of the company, sales, field service technicians, customer experience. But we cannot take more than that, right? Choose one, choose two, but don't choose 50. And all the people on the other side, on one side of the spectrum, started to say, yeah, here are 100 use cases. We want 100 use cases. What is even more like difficult at the beginning was that the people on the personal use or workplace AI, they started to become good at this. They started to understand AI, and they started to think, okay, now I want my small agent to answer questions about my Salesforce data, my Oracle data, my J.D. Edwards data, my SAP data, my Infor data, right? And at that point, analytics team said, like, hold on, right? Like, that will require a data pipeline, that will require security, that will require curated data, because otherwise, this will hallucinate all over the place, right? And so there was a gap, and that gap is users started to ask for more complex questions, real time from their data that assist their daily operations. And then there's another aspect there that I didn't talk too much yet, which is single knowledge domain. For us, it's just fatigue. So many point solutions, every vendor trying to monetize their AI, so much noise. Or everyone wanted to become a new data cloud provider, a new lakehouse architecture, moving data. For us, it was like a nightmare. Just hearing business, hey, I have this vendor. They are solving every problem with AI, right? And that's like the single knowledge domain. So we took that gap and we said, what can we do about this, right? So we came with this. I mean, this is probably not obvious for some. Some may be saying, we already do this. But if not, this is going to make a lot of sense. And let's put in that gap something called Data Platform AI, internal name for this. And let's think about our medallion architecture, right? We have our lakehouse architecture with our bronze and silver and gold zone. But where is our most curated data in the company? It is on that data platform. It is on Qlik, in our case, that is working as that glue logic, almost like connective tissue where for years and years, our analytics professionals, analytics community, data citizens have been putting a lot of effort, time, sweat, blood on curating databases, creating pipelines that were sustaining traditional analytics. And what we said is, okay, that's our new Goldilocks zone. If we can enable AI directly on all these thousands of analytics assets that have been created with time, that some of these we are still depreciating, right, is going to be like pervasive AI with all the complexity of custom AI, but at scale, right? Reuse the assets. And so that's where we partner with Qlik on working on the private previews on Qlik answers and understanding like how can we make this a reality, because we are betting big on this, right? Is all these assets on the platform becoming conversational analytics, and even better, our data citizens community is upskill to AI developers at almost zero cost, right? Where that's something that, getting talent out there is right now like very difficult, very expensive, and so on. So, and of course, we need to present and reference architecture, because probably the technical people won't go happy if we don't present something that they say, hey, this makes sense, this doesn't make sense, it looks similar to us, but this is what we are building, right? We have data sources, we have extraction layers that are moving the data near real time. Again, the 80, 90 ERP systems, CRM systems. We have our medallion architecture, but then we start to see some AI factory that can scale, can be replicated, can create an economy of scale, is not going to create an agentic nightmare of recreating the wheel every time, and that's where we start to put the MCPs on our most curated data, being able, and which are very granular, by the way, and that's really cool, because when we have a front-facing application that needs data from the procurement data in Qlik, or from the supply chain data, or from the order management data, if something changes, we only need to go and modify the order management data, and that's it. And the MCP will make that data available to whatever downstream applications are using that, without us having to modify like a humongous AI agent, right? So this is creating like a very resilient, reliable mesh of agents out of the box, because we are relying now on data platform AI. And so the use cases are there. For us, 20,000 hours saved on account managers being able to put a year like 20,000 hours more of like customer-facing time, because they don't have to go and find this information somewhere else. Order management teams in Asia Pacific that had to deal before with 5, 6, 7 CRMs or ERPs to sell something, now are coming to a single dashboard that makes all that complexity agnostic, and asking simple questions like, what are my top 10 orders that are going to miss a shipping date if I don't remove a hold, right, in the next 5 days? And that's starting to change and the way we work, and it's almost out of the gate, right? So this is, like, if someone is fan of some of those Gartner presentations, is the first time that we finally could say we are delivering on that old promise of combining all these descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, prescriptive, and perceptive analytics, because in a single place, because of this data platform AI process supported and enabled by platforms like Qlik, right? So to end the presentation, couple of tactical unconventional hacks. The first one is, again, everything I just mentioned. The analytics platform is your closest to AI-ready data. Use it, right? You have invested, again, like this lot of time curating your finance, your FP&A, your procurement, your supply chain, your demand generation, your operations data. Now you have like the possibility to just plug AI on top of that and make AI pervasive across your entire user base of analytics users. Second one is your analytics super users become your instant AI army. This is really important. Like, doesn't matter how much you think about it, is like you have been building a community of data citizens and professionals, and they will love to jump into the AI wagon. And this is giving them the opportunity immediately. You're telling them, look, your skills are completely up to date. The data you have curated, the data you know, is now the fuel of agentic AI and MCPs, and you own that. And that's empowerment. And that creates like an amazing engagement and an opportunity for, like superpowered analytic professionals in the company with the, the hype of AI, which is very real, right? So with that, I will hand over back to Brendan, and thank you for your time.
Is that on? There we go. Couple takeaways from one section that I think are really important, and I mentioned it in my first part, is if you've invested in a data and analytics layer, all is not lost, right? We started off with a little fear of, if you after your history, the reality of what you're hearing from a company like Ingersoll Rand, where I knew you had a lot of ERPs, I didn't know you had that many ERPs. They have built this amazing infrastructure on data and analytics that they are just going to take to the next level already by opening up a few new capabilities like MCP is a big move forward for you, right? And that investment is there for them already. That's number one. Number two, and I don't think you could have said it any better, as a former BI developer myself, I asked myself the questions, what is my role in this? Right? Our role, those of us that have built analytic applications over time, our role in it is to become, as you said, become the AI army, right? That's the core thing. So as you think about why is Ingersoll Rand able to take advantage of this? There are a couple pieces of the puzzle that Qlik has delivered. We're not their entire infrastructure. We're not trying to be their entire infrastructure. We're trying to address very specific problems for companies like Ingersoll Rand. The first one is giving them trusted data products. And the way they've built their analytics applications, those analytics applications, they are the basis for everything they're going to do with Agentic AI because it's trusted. And I love the Goldilocks layer. That's a new expression that I learned today. But the Goldilocks layer, it's just right and it's really amazing. So getting that trusted data products in place, we help them do that with the data pipelines. As Juan mentioned, they can make changes in their source systems, but because of the way that we help them manage their data, they're able to know that the downstream systems and the downstream decisions and actions were accurate. So that's one thing. The second thing that we're able to help with, and we've really fit in, it is our analytics engine. That is the secret sauce for Qlik. 90 source systems sounds like a lot, and I'm only touching on how many source systems you truly have, the 90 ERP. This is where our analytics engine comes in extremely strong. We're able to help you bring data together in a fashion that will reduce the amount of time of building your data model somewhere between 80 and 90%. It will cut down that time. And then what you have is you have your trusted data foundation for AI. And then finally, we're building all of this on top of an agentic framework. For those of you that raised your hands of being in the analytics and BI space, this is the future, right? The future, unfortunately, started about a year ago for all of us, and we have to catch up with that. So we are really looking at the existing set of capabilities we've brought to the market to support extremely complex scenarios like Juan spoke about, and we're building it on top of an agentic framework. And the way we're really thinking about it is Qlik wants to be a portfolio of capabilities that will help you understand the context of the information you have in all of this data. We are going down a path where we're bringing assistance to you and/or we're integrating with things like Anthropic. We're integrating things like Copilot. We're integrating with capabilities out there that will allow you to interact with the secret sauce, the analytics engine, plus the trusted data products in a way that will be natural language, that your users will feel comfortable with, and that ultimately will help you target very specific business challenges. These assistants are designed to tap into our agentic framework and have very specific tasks. You'll notice here that we're focused on data tasks or analytics tasks. You're not going to see us build an agent around customer service. That's not our expertise. Juan, you know that our expertise is data and analytics. So we're focusing on bringing agents out there that can work with through MCP that you can interact with, and then also we're going down the agent-to-agent architecture approach. So agents from other systems, as Juan pointed out, can interact with, say, for example, a data quality agent. Hey, I'm trying to make a decision around my supply chain to build my shoes, my socks, and my suits. Go tell me whether or not my data quality is correct, and the agent will go off and do that. We're also focusing on knowledge agents, and knowledge agents are really designed to help you bring that unstructured data, which for the record is about 85% of the data in your organization. Bring all of that into a knowledge assistant that will allow you to make decisions off of that data without needing to build your own RAG pipelines. We can cut that time down by 90%. And if you want to talk about the experience that Juan and team have had with Qlik Answers, I encourage you to talk about the time it can save them. Ultimately, these agents are designed to help remove some of the manual tasks and help you make more effective decisions based off of this trusted architecture. So regardless of what you're using, whether it's a Microsoft, whether you're using some of the AWS amazing announcements we've heard over the past couple of days, Anthropic, whatever it may be, you can interact with MCP, and as you go down your agentic framework, we are designed to work with other agentic frameworks as well. We're also trying to build this on top of an infrastructure that is going to help you be adaptive, right? We've seen data gravity. Data gravity is going to be a challenge. Wouldn't we all love to put our data in one single location and just have it sit there and be happy? Juan, you would be super happy if we could do that. The reality of everything you're dealing with is that you need a set of capabilities or a portfolio of capabilities that are adaptable to the way you want to work. You can have some of your data that sits over on Azure or AWS. You can have it sit in Google. You can have it sit in Databricks or Snowflake, all of these locations. And we have gone down an open lakehouse path with Iceberg that will help you make sure that you can take advantage of your data wherever it is. Make sure you're adaptable. You can do it in a scalable way. The number that I've heard on scalability on our Iceberg instance, it was really interesting. I heard 17 million transactions per second is what we were able to bring through our Iceberg instance. So if you think about that type of scalability, I think about the supply chains that you have to deal with. That type of scalability is incredible. And we do it so we can help you reduce your data ingress and egress charges with Iceberg. So we're helping you be adaptable, we're helping you save money, and we're trying to make sure you're doing it with trusted data infrastructure. Look, has everybody seen the MIT study out there that's only 5% of AI? Yeah, super, really, really fun, isn't it? 5% of AI initiatives have failed. Our approach at Qlik, and what I'm hoping you saw from Juan, and we'll open it up to questions in a second here, he is a real example about how to be successful with an initiative like this, right? Juan is one of the 5%. Our goal is to make sure that we can make that number not 5% successful. We can make almost every customer successful. We really want to do that. So a couple things that you need to think about. What we spoke about today, and as Juan pointed out, yes, we all love our architecture diagrams. We all do, right? It really lays it out for us. But the reality of the situation is you have to make sure that you have context as you go down this agentic framework, right? Making decisions with all your data on top of a trusted data foundation and doing it in a way that allows you to adapt to where your data resides is going to be absolutely critical. If you're not going down that path and thinking about decisions in context, your initiative is likely to fail. You will end up being one of those Google searches that I just spoke about. So really think about context in the framework of agentic AI. The second thing, governance. Governance has become even more important. Governance ultimately comes down to what we've seen is that feedback into these models is critical. One of the things that we've noticed with customers that have been successful in deploying our unstructured data assistant already is that they give constant feedback into their models. and they give constant feedback with trusted information, and they govern that information. It allows them to ensure that whatever answers they're getting and whatever decisions they're making, that it has been through a feedback mechanism. And I am blatantly and shamelessly stealing the AI army concept here, because you gotta let that AI army be those people that help you govern that data, govern those models, and help govern your decisions. Those of us in the BI and analytics space, we're the experts in that data. We know it, right? So it's one of those things that you can really do. The other thing is, and I'm gonna make a fairly controversial statement here as an analytics vendor who has made their career on building dashboards. That world is gone. It is not the world that we grew up in. Analytics as a destination, as a portal, is no longer going to be acceptable. And if you go back to Juan's architecture and architecture diagram, I loved across the top, you literally have every generative AI and agentic tool across the top there. That's the world we're living in now. Everything that we do from a data and analytics and decision-making process has got to be embedded within your business processes. We're at a point where the digital natives are entering the workforce, and our successful customers are really focusing on helping this workforce who grew up with mobile phones, iPads, and asking Siri to make them breakfast. That's the world we're living in this generative AI. So as you think about that, really ensure that you're going to embed everything into your workflows. Ultimately, Juan, I would imagine you probably consider it success almost if they don't know they're using your AI capabilities, because if they know, that means there was an outage, right? That's usually the bad news. But you want to make it embedded. Your supply chain manager should just think they're running their supply chain. Your marketing operations lead should just think they're optimizing their campaign. Analytics is going to become part of, and AI is going to become part of everything we do. So consider that. And then finally, these three things combined will help make sure that you have the right enterprise approach in having the enterprise-grade AI strategy that will allow you to get there. What I really want you to walk away from is not necessarily what we Qlik have to say, but really listen to Juan's story, right? He has an amazing foundation. He has an amazing organization that backs him up on this, and the proof is in the pudding. I actually did a little research on some of the business results for Ingersoll Rand. Just encourage you to go look at their business results, because the results that they're seeing is the results of what we just talked about here today. I actually wanted to end this in about 30 minutes. I know it was for an hour. I wanted to give some time to see if there are any questions for Juan and me. Juan, I'd love to bring you back up. Thank you.